Yo, what's going on, guys? Friday afternoon, thanks to an app called FanDuel and KenPom, we're able to get the lines early. So in today's video, we're going to go over every single Saturday college basketball game. Coming off another whiteboard winner, FAU -6.5. I hope all of you guys, the thousands of you who were on the last video, hopefully you guys jumped aboard and took FAU. In today's video, we're going to go ahead and update the whiteboard with another winning pick. A lot to choose from. I'm going to give you guys a pretty good selection on that whiteboard. So if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button right now and drop a like on today's video. And you know what? If we get 300 likes on today's video, I'll fire up that hookah in the next video. I think Saturday is going to be a great day. I actually have some notes. I actually made some notes for today's video. I go over every single game in college basketball every single day, except today on Friday. Friday slate was looking kind of ugly. You know what? I took a day off. I think it's very good. Every once in a while, every 3-4 weeks, take a day off. Don't even look at anything sports wise. Just go do your normal daily life stuff. And then when you come back, you feel fresh, you feel refreshed, you feel accurate, you see the board well. I feel great. I've already posted, I think, 5 or 6 picks right here on YouTube for members. If you guys are interested in my very best picks, become a member. It's a great price. You get an entire month of my picks. And we all know NBA is back. Between that and college basketball, you'll have picks from me every single day. We're coming off a 2-2 day last night. Before we get into the Saturday games, I just very briefly, in like 30 seconds, I just kind of want to sum up what I thought of Thursday night. Arizona, I think, is the big talking point. And you guys can let me know what you think in the comment. What are we doing with Arizona? What are we going to do with this Arizona team? It's going to heavily depend on how they get seeded in this tournament. But it seems to me, if Arizona has to play any team that has size, that's physical, and that isn't just like scared of playing a big ranked team, teams that truly just go out and get after it, this Arizona team just doesn't seem to have the backbone and the guts and the mental strength to hang in these games. The talent's there. Some games they look invincible. I've watched a couple of these Arizona games this year, and I'm like, you know what? I might place a futures bet on this team to make the Final Four at whatever odds it is. But I'm not going to do it. Arizona's completely off my bet list. I'm not going to be betting against them at any point this season due to their talent. But I'm never going to bet on Arizona again. I've lost 2 wagers this entire year on Arizona. Won a couple, but I'm not going to be able to get behind this Arizona team moving forward. At some point in the tournament, I may bet against them in an upset pick, depending on their matchup. If I think they're going to be facing a team that has good size and good physicality. But they're up 3. Up 3 with 24, 25 seconds left in the game. You foul a guy on the 3, just a complete choke job. Killed one of our parlays for members. It was a 2-2 day yesterday, so another tread the water kind of day. No gains made. But as long as Arizona held in and got the money line in that game, we would have had a great day. It would have been 3-1, up 3.5 units. We had a Northwestern, FAU, and Arizona money line parlay, 2-unit risk to win 1.5 units. And it looked all the way fine until the last half a minute. So yesterday was interesting, man. Let's get into these Saturday games. By the way, link in the description to my TikTok. I post on there daily. Been doing pretty good. I think I'm 3 for my last 4 on free picks. I try to do daily on TikTok and just bring up some other content. So if you're interested in TikTok, you can check it out. Links in the description. Also, down in the comments, the pinned comment at the top of the comment section, I left a short 2-minute walkthrough video on how to join right here on YouTube. It's just way easier to use a computer. There's a couple things that have confused a couple of people along the way. So if you do need a little bit of assistance becoming a member for this upcoming Saturday, just check out the video in the pinned comment at the top of the comment section. I can't suggest to you guys high enough to become a member before this Saturday. This whole past week has kind of been neutral, spinning our wheels, unable to really gain a lot of money. We're just some bad breaks here and there, some big favorites going down. It's been frustrating, but the 2 weeks prior to this last week, we were on a 25-8 run, 76% hit rate over 2 weeks. I think we're going to get right back to it. The last couple Saturdays as well have kind of gotten the better of me. I think a 4-5, and I can't remember the other one, but kind of neutral on Saturdays over the last 2 weeks. I've put in extra. extra groundwork for this Saturday. I'm not going to let another Saturday get away. I like about 9 to 11 picks after scrolling through the board for this Saturday, but I've whittled it down. I am condensing it. Anything that I think is even close to a risky bet, I'm just not even going to do it. We're probably only going to have 5 to 7 total picks for members for this Saturday. And I'm really, really hoping for our first undefeated day. In the last week, we were crushing undefeated days just over the last couple of weeks. So highly recommend becoming a member. It's going to be a big day. It's going to be a big finish to the season. You get a whole month. Buy in now. You'll pay for your subscription today on Saturday, or if you're watching this video on Friday, tomorrow on Saturday. I'm just extra locked in. That day off really was refreshing. It's so nice to just not worry about things for a while. Came right back to the board immediately through scrolling through these games. I'm like, scroll. Oh my God, I can't believe that team is an underdog. Scroll. Holy cow, how is that team only laying 1.5 points? So some situations like that. Let's go ahead and get into Saturday. And of course, in the comment section, let me know, guys, what are your favorite games? Because everybody likes to go through the comments. Everybody likes to bounce ideas off each other. I think it helps everybody. So what games do you like? How have you been doing? Have you had some winning days lately? Let everyone know how you're doing. Let's get into Saturday, man. There's a ton of games. We'll try to get through them as quickly but as thoroughly as I can, kind of a balance. I think we're going to pick some winners in today's video. First game is a noon game on the board. Houston at Baylor. So we have an interesting situation. Houston off of a huge win, right? A massive win over Iowa State. Baylor was upset on the road by BYU. BYU was a premium pick if you're interested. But that doesn't mean I'm like an anti-Baylor guy. I just thought it was a really good spot for BYU in that position. Baylor at home catching 2.5. So these teams, I really think, conflict with each other in terms of styles. What concerns me about Baylor is Baylor sort of lives and dies by the 3 ball. When they're hitting shots, Baylor is one of the best teams in the country. As long as they're hot from shooting, they can absolutely be a Final Four team. There's no doubt about it. But I'm concerned that Houston's defense is going to really limit Baylor's offense here. But at the same time, I've said it time and time again, I really don't trust Houston. In today's day and age, especially if it was like the 1990s, I'd have a little bit different opinion on this. In today's day and age, in the modern era of college basketball, just like football, just like all sports, you gotta fucking score. You have to be able to score points. Houston can come out and play all the defense they want. They can set a world record for defense. If you can't score yourself, you're just not going to win games if you can only score 55 or 60 points. I'm concerned with Houston's offense. It's a road spot. They're off a big win. Houston has been way worse on the road. They've dropped a few road games. TCU, the Iowa State game, I think a couple more. Houston on the road, I don't want to trust them. They're laying 2.5. I got to look at Baylor here. I got to look at Baylor and just hope that, they can match the physicality. Houston has the physicality advantage. Baylor has the coaching advantage. Baylor has the shooting advantage. As long as Baylor has a decent shooting day, they're going to get the job done here. I'm going to take the 2.5 points. I'm not going to go money line. I'm not going to be greedy. It's going to be close regardless. Give me Baylor plus 1.5 buckets at home. I think that's pretty reasonable. Missouri, Arkansas. This one's tough because Missouri is a team. It's just like, when are they going to come out of the woodwork and get some random win? But at the same time, Arkansas was very surprising their last game. Arkansas is playing better. They're at home. 6.5, though. Weird number, isn't it? This feels like an Arkansas win, but it's 2 kind of bottom feeders of the conference. Doesn't this just feel like a 4 or 5 point win for Arkansas? They'll get out of there with another win at home, but is it going to be by 7 or more? Probably. I'm going to have a very slight lean to Arkansas here. This is not a game you want to bet. There's too many games on a Saturday to be messing around with games that are like, this way or that way. Don't do it. Slight lean to Arkansas. Indiana, Penn State. Here's one that's super interesting. This would have been like a rock solid, complete home run, fucking play of the year type thing. If the last game for Penn State wasn't a big emotional, crazy comeback. I mean, we all saw the end of Penn State. Did you guys watch it? The Illinois-Penn State game? Illinois was up, 11 points, 3 minutes left, up 7 with 40 seconds left. I mean, a complete choke job, 2 missed free throws. I forgot exactly what happened at the end, but man, at the end of the day, Penn State got the upset. I'm just ever so slightly concerned at the effort level from Penn State coming off of such a huge win. But at the same side of the thing, Indiana is atrocious. I told you guys in the last video, Nebraska over Indiana was a home run. I've seen so many of these games, home games for Indiana, where they continue to get credit just from playing at Assembly Hall. Indiana's cooked. They suck. They're horrible. They're beyond bad. Their offense is just beyond bad. At a short number like this, I'm looking at Penn State minus 2.5. They're the better team. The only X factor is if somehow Penn State is a little bit asleep after such a huge emotional win. It was also played in a different gym. They played at a different gym on campus. I can't remember the name, but we'll see with Penn State here. As long as they're even like 3/4 of the way focused, they're getting the job done here. I'm going to lean Penn State minus 2.5. Vandy at Florida, 17.5 spread. Florida coming off a tough overtime loss at Bama. Vandy got killed by Georgia in a pick'em game. Vandy's absolutely miserable team. I got to lean Florida here. I don't think 17.5 is enough. This could easily be a 25.5 point spread, and I would still consider laying the points with Florida. Florida's the only way I'd look here. Coming off the loss, looking to crush someone. But Florida's a team I like in the underdog role. I like Florida playing better opponents when they're getting like 4.5 points. I'm not sure I love Florida as a big favorite. It's just, I don't know if it's really their style, but give me Florida minus 17.5. Washington at Arizona. I told you guys in the beginning of the video that I just can't bet Arizona again. They're just officially on the ban list for me personally, but this is a spot I like Arizona. The X factor is their emotions. Are they going to, go cry in the corner and act like little women, be like little girls all sad off their choke job on the big game at home? At the end of the day, they're tied with Washington State. They can still win the conference. They can maybe still get a number one seed in the tournament. They can't afford any more screw ups. Is this a spot where they take out frustration? Washington, by their skin of their teeth, got past Arizona State in overtime. So Washington, back-to-back road games, an overtime win. I got to lean Arizona here. I can't bet them because I just refuse to bet this Arizona team, but this easily could be Arizona by 30. We'll see what happens, but I definitely lean Arizona in the spot. I think 14.5 based on Washington off a road win, still on the road, Arizona off that brutal choke job. They could kill them. They could absolutely murder Washington. Washington, I don't think is very good. So strong lean to Arizona. It's just very hard for me to get to the window with that team after just a couple of things they've done this season. Boston College, NC State. This one's tough, 5.5. It just feels super accurate. Boston College getting 5.5 on the road at NC State. This just feels very, very accurate. That's exactly where I think the line should be. So I don't really have an opinion. I'm sorry, guys. This one I wish I could give you more on. I have to lean NC State at home, but I just don't love it. NC State is a team where I like them playing a slightly better team, getting points type of thing. I don't love them to win by 6 over anybody. I just don't think they're that good. Boston College has been better as of late. They had the win over Miami. It was at home. They're worse on the road, but 5.5. Is this like a 3-point win for NC State? I don't know. Slight lean NC State. 2:00, BYU just beat Baylor. Now they're on the road versus Kansas State, who's looked miserable, horrible. Now, I did give out Kansas State as a premium pick over Texas. They did cover. Probably should have won the game, but I'm really concerned with the discipline, the way they act down the stretch, the way their inability to just have like crisp passing, like fundamentals, like easy stuff for Kansas State. I watch these games and I'm like, wow, Kansas State, what is this? Like a pickup team from the local YMCA? What the fuck is this? Jerome Tang had his team, in the Elite Eight last year, lost to Michigan State, or did they get by Michigan State last? I don't know. Jerome Tang, I don't know. Is this a bad coach that's kind of riding an elevated presence that he got off of Noel? I mean, Noel was one of the better guards I've ever seen. I absolutely loved him. Short little guy, but just a phenomenal player. And his success and that team's success, I think, sort of put Kansas State and especially Jerome Tang as a coach more on the map than they should be. But this line speaks volumes. Kansas State's been absolutely miserable, absolutely horrible. BYU just beat Baylor. They're a ranked team on the road. The spread's 1.5 now. It was actually 2.5 earlier. So it's down to 1.5. Give me Kansas State. Kansas State's going to win this game. Kansas State's going to beat BYU. Kansas State at home, money line. Give me K-State. Give me Jerome Tang. I think he's going to have one last little get his guys in line and they'll play a decent game. BYU, man, how many games prior to that Baylor game did BYU just choke away? Just absolutely horrible down the stretch. This could easily be a game where BYU is up 5 or 6 at halftime and they lose the game outright to Kansas State. West Virginia, Iowa State, the line's 17.5. 17.5 in the Big 12 is crazy. I'm going to just say it. 17.5, any team, the bottom versus the top team, I don't care. And this is close to that. I don't think it's high enough. I mean, West Virginia off of a home win over UCF. Iowa State off a road loss to Houston. I just have no idea how West Virginia is going to stay within 20. I just don't know. I have no idea how. It's up to Iowa State. It's like, Iowa State, what do you want to do? Do you want to smash these guys by 35? You're more than welcome to. It's up to you. What do you want to do? Do you want to take this somewhat serious and kill them? Or do you want to just be half asleep and win by 10? It's completely up to you guys. I'm going to say off a loss, they're a little bit more focused. You could also look at a first half spread. It'll be somewhere around 8 or 9 points, I would imagine. And again, in a half of basketball at home on a Saturday afternoon, there's nothing in my brain that thinks West Virginia. And look what's on my wall. Guys, I went to West Virginia. I'm a graduate. I was there 2013 through 2017. I love the Mountaineers. I go there every year. I have no idea how they're going to keep it within this number. Give me Iowa State. That's all I got to say. Duke, Wake Forest. This one's interesting. So Wake Forest, put a couple notes for this one. So they lost a very close game at Virginia. Very hard place to play. They lost at Duke in a close game. Okay, but then they got right versus Pittsburgh. They put 91 on the board. Pittsburgh is a pretty good team, better than people give credit for. You got Duke, who got a win at Miami, but Nigel Pack was a very late scratch in that game. He didn't play for Miami, and that's huge. That ruins their whole offense. So Duke kind of got a gimme there at Miami. Duke's other road game was at Florida State, a team that's just trash. So you have 2 road games. This will be their 3rd road game in a row. 3 road games in a row for Duke. Their first 2 were very, very fortunate. No Nigel Pack versus Miami, and then a bad Florida State team. In that Wake Forest game, Duke won, but it was a close game. I mean, at halftime it was 27-29. Wake Forest was right there. I don't know how we're going to look at a game where the number 8 team in the country, Duke, on the road versus Wake in a revenge spot. Close first game at Duke. Duke 3 road games in a row. How are we not looking at Wake Forest here on the money line? It's beyond me if you're going to take Duke here just because they have an 8 next to their name. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Can't say too much about that game. Iowa, Illinois. Let's see here. Illinois off a tough Penn State loss. Iowa sort of sneaky. Why is Iowa starting to overachieve lately? A win at Michigan State. Now, they're not going to get upset again. There's no way they're going to win at Michigan State and then at Illinois, especially with Illinois coming off a loss to Penn State. But did they get creamed or do they hang in there again? They're playing good basketball. Do they hang in there and lose by 7 and get the cover? That's what this comes down to. Illinois is good, but their lack of a true point guard hurts them. I watched the Michigan game at Illinois. Michigan hung in there for most of the game until the end. I think Iowa gets the cover here. I think I lean taking 9.5. Illinois wins, Iowa covers, I think is what we're going to go with. Cincinnati, TCU, a 5.5-point spread. Cincinnati, a team that is just, I'm trying to think of what's appropriate to say here on YouTube. Cincinnati, a bubble team. Speaking of bubble, I'm sorry, guys. I forgot to update you with the current bracketology at the beginning of the video because this does come into play. So sorry about that. I apologize. I got it right here, though. It's on my phone, reloaded to go, and it was actually updated today on ESPN. So Cincinnati, after completely fucking up against Oklahoma State as a 10.5-point favorite at home, they've found themselves in the next 4 out. There's 7 teams out of this tournament, okay? And it's easy to say, well, look, they're in the first 4 out. They still have a glimmer of hope on the road at TCU. This would be a great spot for them to rally, show up, get an upset, and get themselves back into the tournament. I'm not buying it. Cincinnati is absolutely horrible. Their offense is miserable. They have some guys that are big and tall and look scary, if you're in a dark alley at night, but they can't play basketball. TCU, the skill set is way better. That weird home court, the colors, the way the floor is, significant advantage. TCU off a nice road win over, God, I can't remember, but I'm not going to spend time on that right now. I got to go TCU at home. 5.5, I think, is more than reasonable. They're such a better team, better coached, better athletes, better offensive skill set. Cincinnati is just a team that just tries to rebound and play defense and hope they get a win. And they've gotten some impressive wins. That win they got on the road to UCF was a shocker for me. At TCU, hell no. I don't care that they're a bubble team and that they really need this win. I don't think that's enough. TCU is the better team. 5.5 is reasonable. Give me TCU. I just hope it's not a game where TCU wins by 3 or 4. South Carolina, Ole Miss. Here's another one where I think the line itself speaks volumes. Ole Miss has struggled a lot lately, but so is South Carolina. South Carolina had that quick kind of a parabola that you see in math class in high school, a quick shot to the top. All of a sudden, they're on the map. They're this highly ranked team. People are saying stuff like this is a Final Four contender. They've fallen right back off. Now they go on the road to an Ole Miss team that has a better coach, that's at home, and that has been on a rough stretch as of late. They're favored 2.5. They're not ranked versus a team that's number 20 in the country. Both teams are struggling. Only one team can come out here. But in terms of this bracketology, where's Ole Miss right now? 2 teams outside of the tournament. This is a must-win at home for Ole Miss. Give me Ole Miss. I'll gladly lay the 2.5 points. If they win by 1 or 2, you just have to say, well, that's basketball. You can go money line if you want, but it's minus 154. That's a lot of juice. I'm going to hope that they can at least cover this 2.5. I think this line will go up as well. I think it'll probably get to a 3.5 before tip. Give me Ole Miss at home to get the job done. Whether you want to go money line or lay 2.5 is up to you. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, 2 teams in complete opposite direction. Just talked about, the Big 12 a little bit. And obviously, I've said already previously in this video, I went to West Virginia, Big 12, Big 12, Big 12. It's all I think about. I watch every Big 12 game. If I can't watch it live, I watch the replay. If I can't watch the replay, I look up stats. I look at the box score. I love the Big 12. And you know what? This obsession I have with college in general is a pretty good reason why I think you guys should consider jumping on board and becoming a member. Do people just give out random picks based on like 1 or 2 trends and statistics? Or do you actually find someone that legitimately is obsessed and pays their bills off sports? That's me. Let's get to this game. Oklahoma State, one at Cincinnati is a 10.5-point underdog. Lost. They won against BYU as well. Crushed a BYU team at home. 3 games ago, they played the same Oklahoma team. They only lost by 4. Interesting. Now it's a rival too. Oklahoma at home only got by this team by 4. Now we get Oklahoma, who lost at home versus Kansas. Not even a full healthy Kansas. They were up like 11 points in the first half, completely fumbled the ball, fell apart, lost at home to Kansas. Crushed by Baylor. What are we doing here? 2.5-point underdog. I would say the wrong team is favored. Oklahoma State playing substantially better as of late. Oklahoma seems to be falling apart. I don't like their coach. I don't like their roster. I don't like their mental toughness. This Oklahoma State team is scrappy. Despite such a horrible start to their season, they have fought back. They've played better as of late. They seem to have some pride as a team. Give me the home team in a revenge angle. And with the change of conferences, I mean, this is the last time Oklahoma State and Oklahoma could play for a while. Oklahoma's off to the SEC. Oklahoma State's not going to let Oklahoma sweep them this year. Oklahoma State money line. If you don't want to be greedy, take the 2.5 points. It can definitely save you. The first game was a 4-point game. It could easily be very close again. The 2.5, I actually probably do recommend. But money line, Oklahoma State's going to win this game outright. Texas Tech, UCF, 1.5 point spread here. So this is kind of an initial reaction to me. Now, maybe I missed like 1 or 2 games, as this slate right now is currently 5 p.m. on a Friday. So maybe the bookmakers haven't quite put every single game up. This one just popped up. Texas Tech, man, ranked 23 in the country on the road at UCF. This one is so hard for me. I really do like this Texas Tech team. This Texas Tech team, however, is significantly, I mean wildly better at home. UCF, they just have been so bad now for what, 3 or 4 games? You lost on the road to West Virginia. You blew a home game versus Cincinnati. That was a revenge angle as well. Cincinnati barely got by them in the first game. I was on UCF in that game. I thought for sure they'd get revenge at home. So are they going to drop another game at home? This is close to a pass for me. But I think UCF minus 1.5. You got to look at the money line here with the home team. I don't quite trust Texas Tech on the road enough. I think UCF defense comes to play. I think their 3-pointers fall a little bit better in this game. I'm going to say UCF gets the job done here. The money line's currently 113. Home teams, Big 12 conference, college basketball in general, tremendous value. And I think this is one where you have that system play. A road-ranked team versus a home non-ranked team. And the home non-ranked team is the favorite. If you play every single one of the games that end up in this situation, it is a winning record. It's probably 65 or 70%. So a little bit of things that I think go the same way, in addition to kind of a system play. UCF on the money line is the play here. North Carolina, Virginia. This one's really confusing to me. The Virginia Tech game. Now, I gave out Virginia Tech as a premium play. Virginia at home is so much better. Virginia's defense is significant. But we've already seen UNC get upset like a few times. And at the end of the day, I'm a big upset guy. I've already given out a few in this video. Even that last game. Well, I guess it's not technically an upset because UCF is the home favorite. But it's like a brand thing, like an image, a team brand. Big ranked team versus a non-ranked team. I guess you could consider an upset. This one for sure is in the category. Number 10, North Carolina on the road. 2.5 point favorite. The line, Virginia off a loss. Virginia so much better at home. Virginia's defense. I want to take Virginia, but I'm not going to be able to get there. Not in this game. North Carolina was already upset at Syracuse. They lost at Georgia Tech. And you could easily come on here and say, well, Dan, what are you thinking, man? We've seen it before. UNC, they've been going on the road. Every time they get a decent opponent on the road, they've been losing. They lost at Georgia Tech. They lost at Cuse. Why aren't they going to lose to Virginia, especially a Virginia that's trying to bounce back from a loss? I understand that. I can't get there here. I can't do it. I'm going to go with the big ranked team on the road in this spot. I'm not betting this one. This is not a premium play. I won't be betting this, not even close. The only way I could look at betting this would be Virginia. But for my overall opinion, for a free pick in today's video, I have to look at North Carolina here. This Virginia team, I think, has overachieved a little. I don't think it's similar to Houston. It's like in today's era, I can't rely solely on defense. And I think that's what we kind of have with Houston and Virginia. And it's so scary. It's like, okay, well, maybe they do hold Carolina to 65. But are they going to score even 55? I don't know, man. I got to stay away from that game. Georgia Tech, Miami. Forget it. I mean, how do you bet this? The spread's 8.5. Miami's been horrible. But Miami has such star power. I mean, they're at home. This could easily be a double-digit win by Miami. And this could easily be a Georgia Tech outright win. I'm not going to give an opinion because I don't even want you guys to even be somewhat interested in looking at this game. Please don't bet Georgia Tech and Miami. My gut says Miami shows up and they win in blowout fashion. No way am I touching this. Alabama, Kentucky, 1.5 point spread. Kentucky, a home favorite. Kentucky. So the under over is 178.5. It's about 90 apiece. Alabama was fortunate to escape at home over Florida, but were they looking ahead to that Kentucky game? Kentucky's already lost a bunch of games at home at Rupp. I'll lean Kentucky, but I'm just so concerned that Alabama can go into Kentucky and put 95 on the board here. What do you do? What do you do here? This is the definition of to bet on this game is the same odds of going to a roulette wheel at the casino and just putting your money on red or black. I mean, this is 50-50. 1.5 point spread. You don't mess with the spread. You go money line. What team do you like? High scoring game. It's going to be back and forth. There's going to be like 20 lead changes. It's going to be like a foul. Who do you think's more clutch? I feel like Kentucky's more clutch. I'm going to lean Kentucky at home. Small lean. Oregon State, Stanford. Oregon State, man, they had that Cal game in the bag, blew it at the end. Now you're playing Stanford, who just got waxed by Oregon. Stanford shoots threes so well, except for last night against Oregon. If Stanford threes are dropping, they're going to cover the number, but 10.5. I just hate the Pac. Fuck the Pac-12, man. There's a reason this conference is dead. Pac-12 is so unpredictable. It makes no sense. It's hard to bet. Stay away from the Pac-12. Virginia Tech at Pitt. Virginia Tech off a huge Virginia win. Pitt off of a loss. Pitt overall better team. But Virginia Tech, man, they gotta basically win out if they want to get in the tournament. I'm gonna lean Pittsburgh minus 3.5 at home. I don't love it. I could see this being a one possession game either way. Auburn, Georgia. God, what do you do? Georgia gets by Vandy on the road. Auburn has their competitive spirit reset by Kentucky. But on the road, can you beat someone by 8 or more on the road? A spread of 7.5? I don't know. I don't know here. Auburn's going to win this game. Is it by 8 or more? I'm not sure. I'm going to just move on from that game. Skip a couple here. Georgetown and DePaul, 2 bottom feeders of the conference. Don't be interested. Don't even tempt yourself. Move on. Davidson, Richmond. Small lean of Richmond at home, but 5.5 is a lot for them. I like them better when they're a slight underdog at home versus the better teams they play. Texas, Kansas. This one's interesting. I mean, everybody loves Kansas at home, and they get a friendly whistle, especially this time of the year. You got to realize that. Please consider that when you're betting against Kansas in Lawrence. At the Fog, the whistle that they get, the fouls that could be called on Texas in this game, the home crowd, everything that goes on here in a Kansas home game in mid to late February is probably worth 5 points. I'm not kidding. It's probably worth 5 points on a handicap. 4 or 5. Texas getting 7.5. I feel like Texas is going to be in this game, man. I just don't trust this Kansas team. They have no depth. Texas has had some sneaky, impressive road victories. I got to lean Texas here, getting 7.5. I feel like this is a Kansas wins by 3. Kansas wins by 4. Steal at the end of the game. I don't know. I'm going to take the points with Texas. Don't love it. Don't recommend betting against KU at the Fog. Not smart, but I think that's baked into the line. Oregon, Cal, super interesting here. Oregon off a big Stanford win, but Oregon on back-to-back road games. Cal started slow against Oregon State, but they showed up at the end. I think I like Cal here as a slight underdog. Oregon shot so well. I mean, they shot like their best game of the year last night against Stanford. They kind of blow their load sort of a thing. I don't know if that can repeat. I like Cal at home getting 1.5. Hate the game. Hate the Pac-12. Fuck it. I'm not betting it. Just my opinion on that game. Florida State, Clemson. Clemson win. Do they win by 10? I mean, I don't know. A spread of 9.5? I mean, Florida State, man, they got no backbone. If they want to give up mentally early in this game, they're going to get smoked. They're going to get 20-point margin put on them. If they half show up, they could cover the number. 9.5, I have no interest. Love Clemson a win and continue to build their resume. I just don't know if it's going to be by double digits. It seems a bit steep. Texas A&M, Tennessee, revenge game for Tennessee. I watched every second of that other game. Texas A&M put it on them. I think Tennessee might put it on them. Texas A&M, they're falling off a cliff. I sort of like their coach, but this is, what are they just going to all of a sudden rally? Because, oh, we beat these guys before. We can beat them again. No. At Tennessee, revenge game. I like Tennessee here. 11.5. God, I wish it was more like a 7.5. And that's why I'm passing on this game. That's why that's not going to be a premium pick. I feel like Tennessee might smash them, though. Nova, UConn off the Creighton upset. Gave out Creighton as a premium pick. I like UConn. I didn't give out that pick because I'm a UConn hater. But Nova, man, this is like the biggest opportunity Nova has. If Nova can somehow, some way finish the season out and sneak into the tournament somehow, some way, as far outside they are, an upset here would be interesting. I think they have the guns to do it. It's just a terrible spot. If Nova had beaten Creighton, I'd like it better. UConn off a loss is just a nasty, nasty team to be dealing with. 13.5. I'm going to say Nova covers. I know the whole world's going to be on UConn, and people are going to leave comments on this video like I'm crazy. I'm going to take 13.5 with Villanova. I say they lose by about 8. Washington State, Arizona State. Give me the 6.5 with Arizona State. Came all the way back against Washington. Washington's horrible. Arizona State gave up like a 16-0. Like, I'm not even kidding. A 16-0 run right before halftime. They should have beaten Washington. Washington State off a massive emotional win. Beat Arizona for the second time this season. You're tied in first place for the Pac-12. Now the pressure's on you. Like, you're leading the conference. So now people are kind of chasing you. I think Arizona gets up for this game again. Maybe they again fall a bucket or two short. I'll take 6.5 with the home team. Mississippi State, LSU, another tough one. LSU off the big upset. So where's their effort going to be? But they've been coming on strong as of late. Miss State, better team, favorite on the road. It's probably wrong. Give me LSU in the 2.5. I just hope it's not a letdown spot after such a huge win over Kentucky. If LSU can show up with some discipline and some competitive spirit again, I like them to cover the 2.5. Butler, Seton Hall. Butler's absolutely horrible. Horrible down the stretch. They play all these games. Out of 40 minutes of game time, they play 38 so well, and they just can't finish. At a spread of 3.5, I'm going Seton Hall. Seton Hall at home, minus 3.5. Butler will be in this game all the way to the end, and they'll fold, and Seton Hall cover at the end. Seton Hall, 3.5. Utah, Colorado. Colorado had a little bit of a rough stretch over the past week and a half. Got that big win on the road against, was that UCLA or was that USC? Can't remember. I think it was USC, wasn't it? Overtime win over USC. Double overtime, maybe. Now they're back at home where they've been better. Utah, so much better at home. Give me Colorado. I like them on the money line here. Minus 220. Maybe you find one other thing to pair it with. Minus 5.5, kind of getting into the danger zone. I don't love this Colorado team to win by margin. I like them to get the job done here and find a way to win. San Diego State, 12.5 point favorite at Fresno. Road game, favorite 12.5. They're the much better team. It's just one of those games where it's like, all right, guys, it's up to you. Do you want to go there and really put it on them? You can win by 20 if you really want to. Or you can just kind of waltz your way to a 7-point win. What do you want to do? I just hate betting on situations like that. I'm going to have to pass. USC, UCLA. Give me UCLA at home. Better team. I hate this USC team. A lot of celebrity stuff. A lot of foo-foo rich lifestyle type thing. I don't think it's a good basketball team, despite some of their better players coming back. UCLA, been playing much better ball last couple of weeks. Got reset with one loss to Utah. I think they can bounce back here at home. Get a win of 4.5. They have a coaching advantage as well. I'll lay the points with UCLA. The last game of the night, currently on this slate, 10 o'clock game, Santa Clara at Gonzaga. 12 and a half, man. 12 and a half, 12 and a half, 12 and a half. Was it, did they lose that first one? I got to check real quick, guys, before we end this video. And don't forget, we're about to put a pick on the whiteboard here. Give me just a millisecond. Gonzaga basketball. Pretty sure they played Santa Clara already this year. I think it was a road win. Nope, they lost. They lost on the road by win. So a revenge spot for Gonzaga. Okay, that's why I want to look it up. I knew it was something. 12 and a half, though. Don't you feel like this is just another close game? 7, 8-point win for Gonzaga. Santa Clara cover. I have to pass. I can't do it here. Gonzaga might smash them, though. Maybe look at Gonzaga in a revenge spot at home for the first half. The line is much more reasonable. Something to consider. All right, let's. I think that's everything, guys. That's every game on the slate. That's a ton of them. I've already been recording for 40 minutes. Hope you appreciate the time it takes to make videos like this. Let's go ahead and get you guys another winner coming off that FAU win. Let me just double check and scroll. I got to get you guys another winner for sticking all the way to the end of my video. What are we going to go with here? All right, so this pick is going to surprise a lot of people. This is going to be a shocker, but I'm going to put it on the whiteboard. I like this. I like going against the grain. I like going against public perception. It works a lot of the time. You have to be able to think on almost an uphill type of a mentality. You got to be able to just bet on stuff that doesn't make sense. The free pick for today. Give me Central Florida on the money line to beat Texas Tech at home. We've seen Central Florida get up for a lot of games, have some impressive wins. They've been worse as of late, but this is a get right spot for Central Florida. I'm going to rock with them on the money line for this one. Again, let me know what you guys like in the comments below. And of course, I'll see you in the next video.